Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Kaylee and these are my books. Today's video is very exciting because I will be reading my 3 most anticipated spooky books of the year. These are 3 books I've been looking forward to for so long now, and I'm very excited to be able to read them. The 3 books that I will be reading is The Weight of Blood by Tiffany Jackson, Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates, and House of Hunger by Alexis Henderson. So all 3 of these authors are authors I've read from before and authors I absolutely love, and these are their 3 new releases. So because these are 3 of my most anticipated reads, I anticipate giving all 3 of these books 5 stars. I will be shocked if I don't give these books 5 stars because I already know I love these authors, and the stories, the plots of these books sound so freaking good. So I'm very excited to jump into me reading these books. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut to the first check-in. Hello, I'm checking in. Teddy was on my lap and he's like, who are you saying hello to? But I am, how far? 40% of the way through The Weight of Blood. And oh my God, it's so good. Like, it's so good. This is shaping up to be the best book I've read this month. And like, holy crap, it's so freaking good. I'm listening to the audiobook on Scribd, and I highly recommend the audiobook. The audiobook is amazing. I think I can confidently say that so far this is the best audiobook that I've ever listened to. I sometimes am picky about extra effects in the audiobook because I listen to it at 3 times speed, and so sometimes like extra effects and music and stuff sound really weird, but the extra effects in this audiobook are just working so well. It's a full cast. There's different narrators for different points of views. There's a podcast element that sounds so much like a real podcast. And there's these little like sound effects in between sections. And the sound effects are actually making it so easy to listen to, because the one problem with audiobooks that sometimes I have is in a physical book when we're switching to a different section or a different point of view in the book, and it's in the middle of a chapter, you know, a book will have space in the book to signify this is a separate thing we're moving to. But in an audiobook, there's no extra space, you know? And so this book has a little sound effect when that happens. And it's working so well. This is like a brilliant audiobook. And the actual content of the book itself is amazing. So good. Like, I think it would be just as good in a physical book. It's just the audiobook is such a fun experience. That's why I'm recommending the audiobook. But this book is not like shaping up to be one of the best books because of the audiobook. It's shaping up to be one of the best books because it is just a well-written, super compelling, super important story. So basically, The Weight of Blood is a Carrie retelling, and we're following Maddie, who is a girl at this high school. She has one parent, and it's her dad, and he is white, and he is ashamed of the fact that his daughter is Black. And so basically, she has been abused her whole life, and she in school gets outed for being Black because she has been kind of hiding, pretending to be white thus far because of her upbringing and because her town is terrible. I mean, this is set in 2014 and they're still having segregated proms, which is a real thing. Like this Tiffany D. Jackson writes based off of real events. And so this is not made up. This is something that really happened in 2014. I mean, not the Carrie retelling, but I'm talking about segregated proms happening up until 2014. Because based on your location, this might seem kind of far-fetched, but it is not far-fetched. And this is just hitting so hard. It's doing a lot with small town racism. It's about this senior class just basically horrifically bullying Maddie. And if you know anything about Carrie, you know a ton of stuff goes down at prom. And so this book is about the first integrated prom with Black and white students all going to the same prom. And Maddie, I think, is going to end up taking a lot of revenge at this prom because the book starts, this is not a spoiler, the book starts with a podcast that kind of is looking back on the events. And we know that like 200 people die at this prom. And the podcast is called Maddie Did It. And so we have the podcast that's kind of looking back at the events, but then we get Maddie's point of view and other students' point of views during the events happening. So it is just, it's so good. It's like, Oh, it's so good. Everyone should read this book. It's like amazing. The social commentary in it is so smart how it is done. And it's so important because, I mean, I had no idea that segregated proms were happening this late into history until I was reading this book. Like, it's insane that this was still happening. And Tiffany D. Jackson is a literal genius at how she is able to weave in real life events in her horror. It's fantastic. I love the idea of Carrie by Stephen King, but didn't love Stephen King's execution. And this, Tiffany D. Jackson is doing everything with Carrie. I mean, this is way better so far than, and I'm confident enough to say it will continue to be way better than Stephen King's version of Carrie. If you like the idea of Carrie, you know, like a bullied girl kind of taking revenge in a horrific way at prom, you should definitely read this book because The Weight of Blood takes that concept and just elevates it to the next level. And the horror in this book just really comes from this sense of dread. The horror, of course, is tied into the racism, and it's horrific what is happening to this girl. But then also we have this feeling of dread throughout the story because we know what's coming. We're told at the beginning that prom is horrific. Terrible things happen at this prom. And so we're just kind of waiting and watching the lead up to this massacre. And of course, there are lots of horror scenes throughout with the bullying going very, very far. I mean, this is a brutal read. It is a hard read. Like, you might think, oh, YA horror, it's not going to hit that hard. Like, it's just YA. What can they do? They can do a lot, okay? They can do a lot. This book is a lot. But it's so good. It's so good. I'm obsessed with it. And I think I'm just going to sit on this couch and listen to the whole book today because I can't put it down. It's so compelling. It's amazing. Okay. How many times can I repeat? It's amazing. Not enough because this book deserves it. Okay. I'm going to go. I want to keep reading and I will check in maybe when I'm finished with the book because I just really want to sit down here and read it through and not have to pause a bunch for different check-ins. Hi, it's editing Kaylee here. I'm in the same makeup as I was in the intro because I just filmed the intro. I don't know why I said we didn't do anything. I did all the work here, but I just filmed the intro. I filmed it late, obviously, and I'm editing this video and I accidentally deleted the clip where I finished The Weight of Blood and was talking about The Weight of Blood. I'm so freaking sorry. I didn't mean to delete it. Obviously, I'm not able to recover it. So it's been like a week or two since I finished The Weight of Blood, but I wanted to tell you I finished it very fast because the audiobook was amazing and I could not put it down. I just ended up listening to the entire audiobook in one sitting pretty much because it was amazing. The audiobook is literally the best audiobook I've ever listened to. The production value was so high in that audiobook. The cast was amazing. The little sound effects that they did were so fun to listen to. I truly think that the audiobook added to the experience. Now, that is not to say though that the book by itself isn't fantastic because the book by itself is amazing, incredible, fantastic. And I'm just saying, I think the audiobook adds even more to the book. But if you just physically read the book, you're still gonna get an incredible story. The book was so good, so good. Like, it was really, really, really good. I'm just saying the same thing over and over. Let me tell you why it was so good. The plot was incredible. It was so poignant to today's world. I mean, obviously Tiffany D. Jackson writes about real life stuff and she's able to include this social commentary and interweave it with these horrific plots and very entertaining horror plots as well. I think her work is incredible. I think her work is brilliant, and the way that she's able to weave the social commentary into a horror plot that's also suitable for young adult audiences is, I mean, hats off to her. Tiffany D. Jackson is a genius. I thought this plot was so compelling. The characters were so interesting to read about. We got so many different viewpoints on what's going on, so many different types of characters. The nuance that these characters had was incredible. It made the story feel so real because these characters all had nuance, every single one of them. And it was really, really fun to read. Fun to read and hard to read because obviously horrific stuff is happening. But I loved this book. This is going to be one of my favorite books of the year. It was, I highly recommend this to everyone. I think if you're a YA reader, obviously you're gonna love this book because it's YA, but even if you're not a YA reader, because I know there's quite a few of us out there that kind of get scared by YA sometimes, but I think this book is fantastic for literally every single person as long as you're old enough to read it, you know. So maybe I don't recommend it to like a full child, but if you're typically a YA reader or if you're an adult reader, read this book. It's amazing. It's so good. I loved my experience with it. I already want to reread it. And if you have Scribd, because I know quite a few people do, that's where I listen to the audiobook. It is on Scribd. So if you have Scribd, this should be your next audiobook if you haven't listened to it already, because it's amazing. Chef's Kiss, highly recommend. Hello, I wanted to do a quick unboxing because I got my first Twisted Retreat box in the mail, which is a new horror book subscription box. So since I'm reading horror books for this video, I thought it would be fun to show off this horror subscription box. This is not sponsored or anything. This was a gift I got from my mother that she fully bought and paid for. So let's open up the box. I'm very excited. This is from the same people that do Unplugged, and I really enjoy Unplugged boxes. So let's see what we get. So first I'm seeing this, which we did get an email about this. So there were supposed to be bookends in here and they're not going to be in this box. They said they're going to send out the bookends as soon as they get them to their warehouse. So no big deal. Got this very cool information sheet. I'm not going to look at it right now though, because I kind of like opening up all of these without knowing what it is yet. Oh God, I just got the packing peanuts everywhere. Okay, so first thing in the box is a candle. Very pretty. Pennywise the Dancing Clown candle. And look at the top, that's so cool. I love Pennywise, that's amazing. Let's see what the wax looks like, just white. I'm gonna smell it. Oh, it smells good, it smells really good. I'm a big fan of this candle. All right, next thing. This looks like maybe some sort of body care item. So it looks like this is shower gel. Good Guys shower gel. I don't know, this is probably a reference to a book, but I'm not getting the reference, so I'll look at the information sheet and see what this is a reference to. Oh, it's a reference to Chucky. So this is a Chucky shower gel. Nice red color, like blood. Let's give it a sniff. Oh my God, it smells so good. So here's like, can I see inside the bottle? It looks very thick and kind of glittery almost. I don't know. It smells amazing though. All right. I'm gonna go cut this open and see what's in here. All right, so inside the box was this like wooden container, and it's really cool on the outside. It says, whenever feasible, one should always try to eat the rude. And inside is this. I don't really know what this is. It looks a little bit too fancy for me, maybe. Let me read the information. So I think based off of this, this is a Hannibal charcuterie board. And it says, serve up some cheese and fruit or liver and fava beans with this exclusive charcuterie board inspired by the Hannibal movie and TV series. I guess you would put like the food on here. I don't know. Or maybe you flip it over and put it on here. And inside there's just this stuff. I still don't really know what these are for, but there's some tools. Very cool. I just don't know when I'm going to really use this, but I think it's really cool. All right, next thing in the box looks like a notebook. Let me take off the plastic. All right, so yes, it is a notebook. It says decomposition notebook on it, and I love the art style and the black and white, and on the back there is this little part. And then throughout, it's just this lined paper. I really like this. I don't actually currently have a notebook, and I've been needing one. So this actually comes in pretty handy. Looks like we got this bookmark too. Really cool art on here. And here's the back, eyeballs and stuff. I love this bookmark. I love it so much. And then we got a card here that says Pennywise the Dancing Clown on it. Kind of matches that candle. Let me see what this item is. Oh, it looks like this is coffee. Fable Grounds coffee, poison apple flavor. That's cool. I don't really use ground coffee, so I don't know when I will use this, but it's cool to have it just in case I ever want to use ground coffee. And then we got this bookmark, which I think goes with the book that's in the box. And this bookmark is really thick and almost feels like plastic. I think it is paper, but it has like a fancy feel to it. And then we got this, which is a letter to the reader by the author of the book. And then let's open up this book. So here's the book. As you probably guessed, this is a horror book because this is a horror book subscription box. It is so pretty though. I mean, look at this. Look at these pages. And mine got a little smashed up here, which is kind of sad. You can see even on the pages, it's kind of mashed up, but oh well. Stuff happens in shipping. They had packaged it really well, but you know, you can't control everything. And then I want to show you the foiling on the cover. So pretty. Look at that skull and the flowers. And then look at this art on the back of the dust jacket. Beautiful. Oh, and there's even something on the back here too. So cool. So here's everything I got in the box. There's information about everything on here. Here's the full card. It tells you all about each of the products. So the only thing that is missing from this box is the Hill House bookends, and I love Haunting of Hill House, so I cannot wait to see what those look like and get them in the mail. So I got the charcuterie board thing, the book, the 2 bookmarks, shower gel, candle, coffee, and a tarot card. In addition to this, I will be getting the bookends too. I really am a big fan of this box. I think it's so fun, and I am so happy. I have a 3-month subscription to them, and I can't wait to see what the next month holds. Sorry, I'm dumb and forgot to say that I also got this notebook. So here's the last item in here. Pretty cool. Probably my favorite item, I mean, besides the book, because of course the book is the favorite item, but probably my favorite item is the shower gel. I love getting cool like Bath and Body products, especially from small creators. And probably my least favorite is probably the ground coffee, just because I don't drink ground coffee, so I have no use for that, but maybe I can gift that to someone who does like ground coffee. Hello, so I am 100 pages into House of Hunger, and I'm really enjoying it so much. I'm so excited to be reading this book. So the basic premise of House of Hunger is we follow our main character, Marion, and she has a pretty terrible life. Her older brother that she lives with is addicted to drugs and abuses her, and she works really long, laborious hours being a maid to a wealthy woman, and the wealthy woman also abuses her. So like she's getting the abuse at work and at home, and she's not getting much sleep. They're very poor. It's just a really terrible situation. And she sees an advertisement in the papers for a blood maid position. Basically, a blood maid in this society is you live in the house of nobles, and you are kind of like a prostitute, but instead of giving sex, you're giving your blood. So you live a very posh life. You are in their house, you know, you're getting a bunch of food, you're getting to rest quite a bit. You get really nice clothes to wear, you look really pretty. And the only thing you have to do is, you know, late at night, you give the noble man or noble woman your blood, and they drink your blood. And so it's vampire adjacent. I don't know if they're technically vampires. They're just rich people who like to drink blood. You know, it's probably happening today in our society, to be honest. And so she accepts this position and becomes a blood maid for this wealthy family. And that's the basic premise of the book. Obviously, like, more has happened in the 100 pages that I read, but that's all I'm going to talk about thus far. And it's just so intriguing. I love the vibes that are going on. It's so good. It's so much fun to watch Marion just kind of learn about the house and about what it's like to be around rich people and her interactions with the other blood maids. And it's very fun to read about this noble society because they're very brutal, but it doesn't seem like they're supernatural. It's very odd, very weird, but the vibes are so much fun. And I'm kind of expecting the plot to be slow moving and more relying on building this atmosphere and her day-to-day in this house with a larger climax at the end. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, you know, but I just think in the first 100 pages so far, it's not like a ton has happened plot-wise. Once she's at the house, she's just kind of living at the house, you know? But I enjoy reading about her just living at the house. I'm having a great time. So I think I'll check in later. So today is Saturday and I have the sleepover stream for Halloween later today. And I just don't think I'm gonna do a ton of reading this evening. So I'm hoping to do as much reading as I possibly can before that. I do have to go pick up groceries in like an hour. So I'll probably just sit on the couch, read for the next hour, then go pick up my groceries. Teddy is rolling around on the couch as he always does. But I'm very excited about my groceries because I got a mummy sushi roll, which is fun. And then I got tortilla chips and queso. I've never bought queso before from the grocery store. And then I also got champagne. So all around, great grocery order. Hello, it's been a while since I've updated you. Today is Halloween. It's been a couple of days, but I've just been on so many sprints and you would think, wow, that means you did so much reading. Yeah, no, been failing at the reading. I think I'm still on page 100 in House of Hunger and I just got to write over page 100 in Gallows Hill. I'm kind of reading both at the same time, which means I'm not far into either. But you know, I'm really enjoying both, but this vlog was supposed to be hosted today on Halloween. And so the fact that it's not is really disappointing. That means I didn't have a video go up today. Just sad because I really wanted a Halloween video. And this is like my 3 most anticipated spooky reads. And now it's not even going to be posted in October. Kind of sad about that. But hopefully you all are still enjoying watching this sometime in November. But I got 100 pages into Gallows Hill, so let me tell you a little bit about what it's about. I guess I should address my makeup right now too. I'm just acting like it's totally normal. I'm a little scarecrow. I posted a picture on Instagram of me and Small Spaces, which features some spooky scarecrows. But I just want to do something for Halloween since I'm not going out anywhere. I thought it would be fun to put on some makeup. I'm not good at makeup. Yeah, I mean, you could tell I'm not good at makeup, but this was easy enough where it's like, it's fun. But Gallows Hill. So 100 pages in Gallows Hill. The premise is this woman gets notified that her parents are dead, but she has no relationship with her parents. She got moved out of their house when she was about 8 and was raised by her grandma and hasn't seen her parents since she was 8. But she gets notified that her parents are dead. She goes to the funeral and finds out that she inherited this winery that they owned. So she goes to the winery, but the winery is kind of messed up. I mean, the death is suspicious. Apparently they both of her parents, who were not that old, both had natural heart attacks in the night at the same time. Like, that doesn't happen. Why did they both have heart attacks at the same time? So it's kind of up in the air, like, did this happen? And if it did happen, that's a crazy coincidence to have happened just naturally. And if it didn't happen, how did they really die? And so she is at the house, at the winery, trying to figure out who her parents were, why they got rid of her when she was 8. And weird things are happening at the winery. Seems like maybe there's some people breaking into the winery or possibly something supernatural going on at the winery. I'm having a really great time with it. Again, I'm only 100 pages in. It's taken me a while to read it. I'm actually buddy reading this with Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy. And we're both failing the buddy read. Like, each day we're like, oh gosh, how far did you get? And each day we're like, yeah, we read like 10 pages. So at least we're both failing though, you know? But I am going to try to read as much as I can. It is Halloween night. It's 7 p.m. I'll probably be up for a while. So hopefully I'll update you at least one more time tonight with a update of me being at least 2/3 of the way either in Gallows Hill or House of Hunger. But I'll let you know. I mean, it'll be easy to see if it's not tonight because the makeup will be gone. So hopefully I'll see you one more time in this makeup. Okay, bye. Hello, I'm checking in. It's been a couple of days. Oh, it's been a couple of days. I definitely regret promising that I was going to check in on Halloween in the same makeup as I was wearing because obviously that did not happen. Sorry, Teddy decided to get a random burst of energy and was jumping on my arm, so I just had to put him in the other room. But yeah, it's been a couple of days. It is November 2nd, okay? It's November 2nd. I don't know what happened. I've just been reading these books so slowly. Nothing wrong with the books. It's just I'm in the middle of like 7 different books right now, so it's taking me a while to actually complete books. But I just completed Gallows Hill, and oh my god. That ending. Holy crap, Darcy Coates. That ending. My jaw was on the floor when I was reading that ending. I did not expect Darcy Coates to go there. That was so much fun. And listen, when I was about halfway through, I was getting really skeptical because I wasn't buying some of the logic that we were being told about why things are happening, and the morality of different things that were going on didn't seem to match up with the character's morality. But, you know, I should have just trusted the process because it all came together in the end. 5 stars. 5 stars. It was amazing. The characters were really, really fun to read about, and the plot was so intense. I was reading so much of this book late at night just on my phone, so it was completely dark and I was just laying in bed reading the book on my phone, and it was so creepy, and so many of these scenes are like so horrific to imagine. Like, I know people talk about Darcy Coates being cozy horror, but she has some horrific scenes in it. Like, I think a lot of people talk about Darcy Coates not being scary, and I find her books to be quite intense at times. I think she is awesome with the scares, and the imagery and the atmosphere is so scary. It's terrifying what was going on in this book. I would have been useless as a character. I would have just been in a ball on the floor crying the entire book because no way could I go up against what these characters were going up against. It was brutal. It was brutal in the best way possible. I was so scared for so many people, and oh, it was just so good. The ending was perfect. It was perfect. That's an iconic ending. I'm gonna remember that ending for like the rest of my life because holy crap. And you know, it's about a winery, and there is lots of winery content. It's not just a background setting. There's lots to do with the winery itself and how the winery works and the wines that are produced on this winery. And as someone who loves wines and who goes wine tasting fairly often, it was so much fun to read about a haunted winery. I loved this book. This is up there for one of my favorite Darcy Coates of all time. I think it's tied with Caro Hunt right now, if not slightly above Caro Hunt. I mean, it was fantastic. I highly, highly, highly recommend Gallows Hill. And so far, this video, my most anticipated reads, 2 out of 2, because I absolutely love both of them. Not only are they 5-star reads, but they're high 5-star reads. So fingers crossed as I move back into House of Hunger. I am still only 100 pages into that book. That book also is 5 stars, high 5 stars, new favorite, because how amazing would that be if every book in this video is high 5 stars and I don't have any disappointments, because I was so looking forward to all 3 of these books. So next time I'm checking in, hopefully I'll be a bit farther into House of Hunger. Hello, it's been a while again. This vlog is like, I know I could just pretend it's been a couple of days because you don't really have a sense of time, but I'm exposing myself by telling you this vlog has been spanning like 2 weeks now. I don't know why it's taking me so long to get through these books. I've been reading other books. It's just, I don't know, because I'm liking them. You just know sometimes when you put a book down, it's hard to pick it back up again. That's what's been happening with House of Hunger. But this is no fault of the book. I just sometimes get in these moods. I think I'm a little bit slumpy right now, and it's no fault of the book itself because I'm loving the book. I'm absolutely loving it still. There's just like a lot of stuff going on in my life outside of reading books right now, and so it's making picking up some of these books, especially when there's the added pressure of vlogging these books, a little bit difficult. But I'm here to tell you I'm finishing this book tonight, and I am on page 200. Sorry, my AC just turned on. If you can hear it, that's what that is. But I've made it to page 200. I'm on sprints right now, and I'm not ending these sprints until I finish this book. The book goes until page 285. So at page 200, my thoughts are still incredibly positive. I do think there was a little like 40-page section that there wasn't a ton happening, but I'm so obsessed with the vibes in this book. I'm so obsessed with the atmosphere and just learning like little minute details that I do really care about these slice of life moments that are happening, even though they're not really furthering the plot. I just want all the moments to exist in this world because I find this world so intriguing. The blood, the focus on the blood is so gross and so cool. Like I was just mentioning on sprints, the way they're describing this blood is making me like, man, blood sounds good, which is not a good reaction to have because the people that drink blood in this book are kind of suspicious, you know, but I'm just saying they're doing a great job describing it. One other really cool thing about this book, let me see if I can show you really quick. The book has these epithets at the beginning of the chapter. Sorry, I'm doing a terrible job showing you that. But basically, this is the first book that I've ever really read where I care about the little quotes at the beginning of each chapter, because it's just adding to the vibe so well. They're quotes from other Bloodmaids that are being placed at the beginning of the chapter, and they're not anything that's really furthering the plot, so if you skip them, you're not losing out on any plot action, but they're just adding to the overall creation of the world and this culture of Bloodmaids. And so I highly recommend, if you're reading this book, to pay attention to those little quotes that happen at the beginning of the chapters, because I'm finding them really interesting. So overall thoughts are incredibly positive. I'm obsessed with this book, and I'm going to check in once I finish, which hopefully it will be very soon. It's only 7:38 here, so I could keep going for another couple of hours and be fine. I'll see you in a bit. Hello, I am back with my outro. I figured I will film my official outro here to let you know what I thought of House of Hunger, because I did end up finishing it the same day that I filmed my last check-in for House of Hunger. I just didn't film my final thoughts because I knew I still had to film the intro. A little behind the scenes information, I just filmed the intro even though I already read these 3 books. So because I have this official setup, I figured I can give you an official outro. I finished House of Hunger, obviously, and I freaking loved it. 5 stars. I adored this book. The imagery throughout this book, the overall aesthetic of this book, it was so fun to read about. Like, it just, the atmosphere that Alexis Henderson created was incredible. One of the best atmospheres ever. Like, I thought Darcy Coates was the queen of atmosphere, and I do still think she is the queen of atmosphere, but Alexis Henderson's House of Hunger gave Darcy Coates a run for her money, because holy crap, this atmosphere. I will mention that this is not a plot that's going to be incredibly fast-paced. You're very much just sitting and sinking into the atmosphere, sinking into this world, experiencing the slice of life of this spooky blood society. And stuff goes down in this book, don't get me wrong, there is a plot to this book, it's just the plot is slow paced in my opinion. So while I do consider this a horror book, I also would consider this a little bit fantasy too, because there is some world building going on, and it makes sense because, you know, Alexis Henderson's other book, Year of the Witching, had some fantasy elements in there as well. I do think if you liked Year of the Witching, you will like House of Hunger too. I don't think it's like quote-unquote more fantasy than Year of the Witching. In my opinion, it's about the same level. You know, there's some magical things in here, there's some world building here, there is definitely some fantasy elements in here, and there are a lot of horror elements in here. This is like a dark horror fantasy, and I absolutely adored this. But what I'm trying to get at is this is not exactly the most thrilling of novels throughout. There are some thrilling moments at the end. The strength of this book is building this atmosphere, not necessarily having a very intricate plot, if that makes sense. But I loved it. I mean, I adored this, so that is not to its detriment. I just don't want you going into this book thinking it's gonna have this fast-paced, crazy plot. It is a crazy plot. I loved the plot, but in my opinion, the plot is secondary to the atmosphere. So with me finishing House of Hunger, that means I am done with this video, hence me filming the outro, and I am so happy to say that all 3 of the books I read for this video got 5 stars, and not only did they get 5 stars, but all 3 of the books I read for this video were incredible, like 6 out of 5 stars. I adored every single one of them. Every single one of them could make like a top 10 spooky books of the year list. Like, I don't know, I'm stressed out because I've read so many amazing horror books this year. But all 3 of these, like, I can't envision a top 10 list that doesn't have all 3 of these on there, because they were fantastic. I highly, highly, highly recommend The Weight of Blood, Gallows Hill, and House of Hunger. They were incredible, and you're gonna have a great time if you read them because they're just so freaking good. Let me know what your favorite spooky books of the year has been so far, and if you've read any of these 3 books, let me know your thoughts about them too. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you next time. Bye!